In this video, I am going to be ranking every single Premier League striker from worst to best. So, let's go. 20th place, Troy Deeney. Unfortunately for Troy Deeney, he's coming to the latter stages of his career, and would I want him in my team? Probably not. He's a good person to have around the dressing room, but as Roy Keane iconically said about Jordan Henderson,
I've heard now people say, well, they want him around the place. For what? What does he do? Card tricks? Does he have a sing-song? Does quizzes in the evenings? What does he do?
Exactly. There isn't much that he brings. 8 goals last season or whatever it was wasn't enough to justify any further up in this list. 19th, Teemu Pukki. Teemu Pukki is a player that has been weird really. He can score a lot of goals in the Championship, but when it comes to the Premier League, he had an absolutely firing first few months 2 seasons ago, but didn't reach the heights for the rest of the season. If Pukki can find some form and not turn into Norwich's version of Mitrovic, then he will go further up in this list. 18th, Neil Maupay. Maupay is a very, very good striker, don't get me wrong. Well, not very, very good, but he's a good striker. But to quote Gattuso, he is
sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
17th place is Christian Benteke. A few seasons ago, he would have been rock bottom, barely scoring goals, but he's managed to move himself up a little bit further. He is into 17th. Not a bad season last season for Christian Benteke by any stretch of the imagination. I think Crystal Palace need to be a little bit more inventive, but not too bad. 16th place is Fabinho Silva. I was going to go with Jimenez, but number 1 threw a bit of a spanner in the works because I didn't quite know where to put him. And number 2, he hasn't really played last season, and we're going with the starting strikers. Fabinho Silva is very, very young, and that's why he's a little bit further up than the likes of Benteke and Maupay. Just the fact he has that room to grow. But not an awful season, but not the greatest. Fabinho Silva needs to improve, and hopefully Jimenez resuming will, help Wolves along nicely. 15th, Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney obviously broke so many records last year for goal scoring, and what a goal scorer he was in the Championship. My one concern is that he's going to be like a Mitrovic and can't score in the Premier League, or doesn't score as many in the Premier League. We'll have to wait and see, but for now, 15th place, respectable for Ivan Toney. 14th place, this is where it really starts to get difficult because it's literally splitting very small margins, and now it is very much so who I would prefer to have in my team. And 14th place, unfortunately, has to be Michail Antonio. I think he's a really good player, a very diverse player, but as an out-and-out striker, I don't think I can put him any further up in this list. 13th place is Alexander Lacazette. I was going to put Aubameyang in, but he's more of a left winger nowadays for Arsenal, so Lacazette is the man. I've not really been impressed with Lacazette. He hasn't quite lived up to the hype that he had at Lyon over the course of his Premier League career. He's been a good player, but he's not been excellent, and last season was one of his better seasons actually. So 13th place, not bad for Lacazette, but not great at the end of the day. 13th place, Callum Wilson. This is a harsh one because I think if he didn't get injured, he could be a lot higher up in this. He was fantastic for Newcastle last year, was fantastic for Bournemouth a few seasons ago as well. So can't really knock it, just the fact that he needs to be able to stay fit a little bit more, but a lot of that is out of his hands. 11th place, I'm going with Chris Wood. I do think this man is a little bit underrated, but then looking at a team, would I want him in a team over the people above me? No, not really. He scores consistently 10 goals a season, but I think the players above him are just that level up. But he would not be a bad player to have in your team by any stretch of the imagination. 10th place, and it kills me to say, I've gone with Timo Werner. Werner maybe isn't the best finisher out of them all, but I think what he contributes elsewhere in the team justifies this position. He still scored, I think, 12, 13 goals in all competitions last season, as well as registering, I think, 11, 12 assists as well. So he's not been bad. I would prefer to have him in my team over those people below, but that's just my opinion. Roberto Firmino is in 9th place, and this is a hard one because, like Werner, he has a different play style to those above and below realistically, but still manages to get on the score sheet and manages to create opportunities for others. 9th place for Firmino. A few seasons ago, he would have been in that top 5, if not top 3, but after last season, he's dropped down a little bit. I'm looking forward to see Firmino back at his best, though, when Liverpool managed to get all of their players fit and back in the squad. 8th, we have Gabriel Jesus, and this will sound controversial. I'm not going with Aguero because Aguero has just left, but I think Jesus needs to step up into the shoes of Aguero. He had bags of potential when he first came to Manchester City, but we've not really seen that consistently. He's just had a few purple patches, not really been the consistent striker we expected, and hasn't been able to display Sergio Aguero. They've used De Bruyne as a false nine more so than they've used Jesus as a striker, and that speaks volumes about Gabriel Jesus for me. 7th place, and it's another player that with injuries could be further up. The reason he goes higher than Callum Wilson is he is very, very prolific. Danny Ings is one of the best goal scorers and natural keen eye for goal out of the bunch of them. Really a fantastic striker, but like I said, he needs to find some fitness consistency. I know it's hard, I know it's not necessarily down to the players, but he needs to do something if he wants to push up further in my list anyway. 6th place, I have Ollie Watkins. A great introductory season for Ollie Watkins into the Premier League. Maybe a little bit too high that I've put him here, but he didn't do much wrong last season. He was, he took a lot of the big chances that came towards him, finished a lot off. A good start to life in the Premier League, probably a little bit high, but looking at the players around him and the lack of consistency that the likes of Werner, Ings and fitness consistencies for Callum Wilson, I think it's deserved. He's been very much a staple player in that Aston Villa side. Hopefully he can kick on next season. 5th place, we have Patrick Bamford. Surprisingly, I've been really impressed with Patrick Bamford. He's a completely different player now to what he was when he was at Chelsea all those years ago, and he's able to link up play as well, which I think is very valuable in a modern striker. A good goal scorer, got a good eye for goal. The reason he doesn't go higher though is the amount of chances that Leeds United do create, and he hasn't scored more. If he'd have scored more, then of course he would be higher up in this division. 3rd place, we have Everton's Dominic CalvertLewin. CalvertLewin unfortunately has missed out. I've put him in 4th just because he's got the age a little bit on the 3 players above him. I think he'll definitely come good in the next few years, and maybe, who knows, over the Euros he can bag a few for England. 3rd place, I have gone with give it to Eddie Cavani. 3rd place for Edinson Cavani. He sits in there. I mean, he's been fantastic for Manchester United this season. I've been well impressed with him. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was, and he was absolutely fantastic. I'd have him in my team any day of the week, and yeah, I don't think I can say much more. An absolute legend of football, been around the block, scored plenty of goals in Italy and in France, and now has come to England and he's starting to bring a bit of form to that as well. 2nd place, and you might have been able to work this one out, we have 2 Englishmen left, and in 2nd place I'm going with Jamie Vardy. Vardy is one of my favourite players anyway. It's such an inspiring story, Jamie Vardy, coming all the way from the bottom all the way up to the top. I think he's a fantastic player, now starting to add assists into his game as well. Very, very good at running in behind the defence and causing havoc, and a very, very clinical eye for goal. One of the best players, deserved his golden boot a couple of seasons ago, and one of England's best strikers. And in 1st place, we have Harry Kane. I don't think I could have put anyone else in this 1st position other than England captain Harry Kane. He has been sensational last season. He scores lots of goals, and starting to bag assists as well. So let me know, guys, in the comment section below. Do you agree with my 20? What order would you put them in? And what would you change? Who would you change? Is there anyone you think actually should be in here instead of their teammate? Let me know. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn the notifications bell on, leave a comment, whatever you fancy doing. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers!